Going on, everyone? All joking aside, we're starting to see some very aggressive amendments and rules being passed by the SEC, FINRA, and others. This one here, we have a few amendments that came out on the 19th of November regarding the CAT NMS plan, which is the National Market System for the Consolidated Audit Trail. Now, we have an amendment to the UTP plan, which is the Unlisted Trading Privileges Plan. Now, as we all know, GameStop began to fail to deliver right after it became included into the UTP plan back in 2005. So this is interesting amendments here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this is all about. So, Joint Industry Plan, this was filed November 19th, 2021. It is a notice of filing of the 51st Amendment to the Joint Self-Regulatory Organization Plan governing the collection, consolidation, and dissemination of quotation and transaction information for NASDAQ-listed securities traded on exchanges on an unlisted trading privileges basis. Now, on December 9th, 2020, the Commission adopted amendments to Regulation NMS. The effective date of the final MDI rules was June 8th, 2021, one day before this shareholder meeting of GameStop. Now, new Rule 614E of Regulation NMS, as set forth in the MDI rules, provides that the participants to the effective National Market System plans for NMS stocks shall file with the Commission an amendment that includes the provision specified in Rule 614E1, Section 5, within 150 calendar days from June 8th, 2021, which is November 5th, 2021. The participants are filing the above-captioned amendment to comply with Rule 614E requirements. As further specified in the MDI rules, the participants must also submit updated fees regarding the receipt and use of the expanded content of consolidated market data. The participants are submitting a separate amendment to the UTP plan to propose such fees. Below, the participants summarize the proposed amendment to the UTP plan to comply with Rule 614E of the MDI rules. So this is where it gets interesting. As the Commission is aware, some of the SROs, which is self-regulatory organizations, or the petitioners, people like SIBO, Box Exchange, MEMX, the exchanges, they have challenged the MDI rules released in the DC Circuit. The petitioners have joined in this submission, including the statement that the plan amendments comply with the MDI rules release solely to satisfy the requirements of the MDI rules release and Rule 608. Nothing in this submission should be construed as abandoning any arguments asserted in the DC Circuit, as an agreement by petitioners with any analysis or conclusion set forth in the MDI rules release, or as a concession by petitioners regarding the legality of the MDI rules release. Petitioners reserve all rights in connection with their pending challenge of the MDI rules release, including inter alia the right to withdraw the proposed amendment or assert that any action relating to the proposed amendment has been rendered null and void, depending on the outcome of the pending challenge. Petitioners further reserve all rights with respect to this submission, including inter alia the right to assert legal challenges regarding the Commission's disposition of this submission. Now, Section 3 of this amendment is as follows. The participants propose adding a statement that terms used in the UTP plan will have the same meaning as such terms as defined in Rule 600B under the Securities and Exchange Act of 1934. The participants also propose adding a definition of primary listing exchange to comply with the requirements of the MDI rules. The definition of primary listing exchange replaces the definition listing market previously in the UTP plan. The participants also propose amending the definition of quotation information and transaction reports to track more closely the requirements of the MDI rules. Finally, the participants proposing amending the definition of news service and vendor to reference competing consolidators as a potential source of quotation information or transaction reports. Now, Section IV. The participants propose to amend Section IV.B to include references to competing consolidators and self-aggregators. Additionally, the participants propose to add the requirements that the Operating Committee will publish on the UTP plan's website, number 1, the primary listing exchange for each eligible security. Oh, that's big. And 2, on a monthly basis, the consolidated market data gross revenues for eligible securities. This addition is designed to comply with the requirements of Rule 614, E4, and 5.2. Section VII. The participants propose to amend Section VII by referring to the administrator rather than the processor, since the administrative functions being described in that section are more appropriately ascribed to the administrator. Section VIII. The participants propose adding new Section 8 and renumbering the remaining sections to describe the process for evaluating competing consolidators. The proposed additions state that, on an annual basis, the operating committee will assess the performance of competing consolidators, prepare an annual report containing such assessment, and furnish the report to the Commission prior to the second quarterly meeting of the operating committee. These additions are designed to comply with the requirements of Rule 614E3. Now, Section IX, previously Section 8. The participants propose to amend Sections IX.A and IX.B to add the requirement that each participant agrees to collect and transmit to competing consolidators and self-aggregators all quotation information and transaction reports required to be made available pursuant to Rule 603B of Regulation NMS in the same manner and using the same methods, including all methods of access and the same format, as such participant makes available any information with respect to quotations for and transactions in eligible securities to any person. The participants also propose amending sections IX.A and IX.B to require that quotation information and transaction reports include the time that the participant made such information available to competing consolidators and self-aggregators. These additions are designed to comply, of course, with the requirements of Rule 614E1 and 2. Now, Section XI, which was previously Section X. The participants propose revising Section XI to include references to notifying competing consolidators and self-aggregators in addition to the processor in connection with regulatory and operational halts. The participants believe these additions are consistent with the requirements of Rule 614E1 and are necessary to ensure that such entities are notified of information related to regulatory and operational halts, and, with respect to competing consolidators, can further disseminate such information to their customers. The participants also propose replacing the term listing market with primary listing exchange to align with the terminology used in the MDI rules. Now, implementation. All of the participants have manifested their approval of the proposed amendments by means of their execution of the UTP Plan Amendment. The UTP Plan Amendment would become operational upon approval by the Commission. Now, development and implementation phases. The amendments proposed herein would be implemented to coincide with the phased implementation of the MDI rules as required by the Commission. So, buckle up. Now, there's more, right? There's a lot more. Charlie's got to work. Got to work real hard. Let's see here. So we got this one. We got notice of filing of the 37th substantive amendment. Oh, that's a good one. Got to read that one. Okay, so we got that one, the 37th Amendment, substantive amendment. Then we have the 52nd Amendment that we just went over. We have the 51st Amendment. Then we have the 25th Charges Amendment to the second restatement of the CTA plan and 16th charge. Oh, God. Let me guess. Okay, 26 pages plus 42 pages. We already read that one. So 26 plus 22, not too bad. 48 plus 120. Badass. All right, well, talk to y'all later. This is some big shit.